there's been a couple of times this year when I've noticed certain gaps, you might say, in Shona's education. I do recall a time whilst when I was in a posh restaurant, I found myself having to show Shona how to use her knife and fork. Probably as well I caught this in time, as we have them somewhat on display this evening. Shona also appeared to have something of a lack of knowledge of how sporrans are made. She came up as I was buying my coat and my whole outfit. She seemed somewhat reluctant to consider the truth I furnished her with and discovery of this. I don't know why, it's not like I clubbed seal to death myself. However, there's little more negative things to be said about Shona. This is partly because I was previously asked not to be nasty to her. But mostly because, on the whole, she's the most lovely girl. And Frank and Edith can take great credit in the raising of their wonderful daughter. And I really must thank both of you for the lovely wife which you've given me. Since I've got to know both Frank and Edith, they've been most welcoming of me into their family. And I can now say that I'm very happy to have you both as my mother and father-in-law. I just hope that the warmth and affection that you have shown me over this time will now continue. Not just have proved a clever ruse. It must be said, though, that Frank is a fine, upstanding member of the community, who has given a lot to help others in his work as a policeman and as a counsellor in his life. Since moving to Fife, Frank has in many ways been a second dad to me. Given that he has two daughters, I get the feeling he may be making up for some lost time here. But I have enjoyed the time we've spent together. I've learnt a lot from him, and really look forward to further hard manual labour in his garden. Obeda, Shona's mother, here is a lovely woman, the heart of Groom, whose caring and dedication to the people around her, both at work and at her home, never ceases to amaze me. You've always been very kind to me, and your hospitality has been very much appreciated. On which note, is there any chance you could give Shona the recipe for that pineapple? I'd like to take you back 29 years now. It's nearly 30, that is something I'm trying not to think about. And thank my own parents. For everything that they have done for me over the years in getting me where I am and who I am today. In every sense, I could have not done it without you. And although I may not have been forthcoming my appreciation of the years, let me say here and now, I think you've done well, and I hope that this day you may be proud of me. By any means. Frank has alluded somewhat to my competitive nature. I'm not sure I really see it that way myself, although I do kind of note down at the top of the page where it says, make sure speech is longer than Frank's. And also, obviously, Alistair and I will be working off a fairly standard system of points for crying, double if it's each other. Usually the other great Scotland invitation will be known to juice as a wild black one. But it's just a bit of fun. Although I may add that as with any such thing, I do find it more fun if you win. I have to say that I was fairly apprehensive about giving this speech. Given that I'd have to follow Frank, who as a community police officer has a lot more practice than I have, standing in front of a hall full of delinquent school children. No offence. Alistair and I, both being engineers, have skills in other areas. We can tell you how much something costs and what's gone wrong, but neither of these things are particularly welcome at a wedding. However, having made my excuses. I should go on. I remember when Shona and I first met, which is lucky, so I didn't bring trouble. Technically, you might say that we met on the internet, which is that given how I'd spent some of my previous years. But I prefer to think that we met when I first came over to Shona's house the first time. The internet was merely the means by which we were introduced. Otherwise, love at first sight would carry some strange connotations. Oh, she was such a beautiful typer. I remember well. The night we first met, we found ourselves sitting on the couch at Shona's parents, talking solidly for about 3 hours. And looking back, I see now that we were luckier than we knew at the time. In Shona, I found my best friend, somebody I care for deeply, and who I'm now proud to call my wife. I won't go into any detail about what happened after we finished talking at the couch. Suffice it to say that that weekend, we were being out together. That weekend, we took a trip to Aberfeldy together. I remember well going out to a restaurant for a meal, sitting down, and realising that after an hour had passed, neither of us had yet opened the menu. The next day, we were out for a lovely wintry walk near the Falls of Brewer. I remember when we were sitting in the car after that the sides of my face were sore, because I'd been smiling so much over those days. This was something that came back to me today, actually, with all the photographs. Looking back, this was one of the happiest times that I can remember. And here we are, 4 years on, and I am now having the happiest time of my life. I now get to a bit of the speech that I couldn't write in advance. Shona, today you look absolutely beautiful. When you came down the aisle, I thought you were elegant, sophisticated, and positively sparkled. I was very proud to have you there. Well, you can't say that. It's not me all down. Given what's happened to us over the years in our lives, I would like to say this to you. Das Liebe, die aus Trümmern auferstand, reicher als eins an großer ist und Kraft. I would say to the rest of you that there's really only 2 alternatives to what's just happened here. One is that approximately 5 people in the room know what I just said. It's rather quick. The other is it's just me and I didn't answer it. I make the point of checking later when no one's looking. But it does give me great joy to see Shona happy. And today that makes me the happiest man alive. I'll stop now before I see us crying stuff. The day's been lovely. I'd like to compliment the serving staff. Polite manners, reassuring friendliness, which I have to say made up for a slightly upsetting moment that occurred last weekend. Shona and myself were out with Frank, Ada, and my parents. We were in a very nice restaurant, and so we were dressed accordingly. Shona had on a stunning new black dress, which she hadn't worn before. And after the main course had just finished, a cocky young waiter came up to the table and had the gall to ask, who's having the tart? That did happen, I had to work it into the speech. Needless to say, this was not appreciated. It kind of rounded off what had been a very stressful few weeks, actually. Not many of you will know about what's been happening in Shona and I at 8. There's a number of things going on. We've a flat over in Glasgow we let out at the start of this month. The tenant moved out. We went over to find the place, basically a tip. Half his deposit's been eaten, cleaning the place out. We've also had some fun with cars. We were trying to sell our own car. We got the market start December. Almost no interest at all. We had looked at moving house. And again, the house went on the market. We're selling our own. Went on the market end of November. I think we had one person around to see it. Shona then rounded this off by trying to dispose of her own car. When I say dispose, I probably more mean ran into the back of a Ford Escort. All's well. So it's fair to say things have not been going well. We have a lot on with arranging the wedding. However, this week things have picked up. We sold our car, we bought a new one. The flat is now cleaned out and on the market. 10 o'clock this morning I was writing the advert to go on for that. I can also tell you that we've accepted an offer on our own house. And it's something that we haven't been telling too many people about, is that we also had an offer accepted on another property earlier this month. And yesterday, at 3:30, this is were concluded. And from next March, Shona and I will be living over in Stirling, in our new house. At this point, I would like to thank everybody, but that would be cheating. So, this is start at the top, and I begin by offering our thanks to both of the mums. The love and support has been much appreciated over the last few months. We have a small gift from you. There's people who don't have to talk to now. I have to say that I'm glad that all of you managed to make it here today, so close to Christmas. There is, however, 2 wallets in this room who can't say the same. We must therefore extend our thanks to both of the dads who made today possible. Without their assistance, we would all have been back in the house, standing room only in our living room, where we'd been offering around leftover mince pies. Tesco's finest, no less. So, thanks, Dad. Let's take this opportunity also to thank our Minister, Michael Erskine. Thank you, yet there's more to come. You've played a very important part in making our day special today. Shona and everyone we talk to really does think you're a genuine, very nice guy. There's been a number of things in which I feel we've been lucky with in our wedding, and having you as the minister was one of them. Thanks, Mike. Another stroke of luck we've had, as I'm sure you'll agree, was the venue itself, Craig Sanker House. And in particular, I'd like to thank the one woman who's made all this happen here today. Where's Mary? Mary at the back. Shona and I would especially like to thank Mary for her support, her suggestions, and our organisation of this day here at Craig Sanker House. We couldn't have done it without you, Mary. Thanks very much. I would also like to thank my best man, Alistair, for all he's done today in getting me here. I'll that giving them the left during the meal, the seating plan must have worked out okay. I'd also like to thank all those people who very, very kindly gave to the charities that we had suggested. We have managed to raise £1,300. Have an 8:15 slot available. Although I would ask that Alistair's parents stay behind at the end. myself. Everyone else gets thanked. I got to all this bother of choosing my outfit, which I might add took longer than it took Shona to pick hers. And you don't get people going about saying how beautiful I look. I'll stop now before I propose a toast to myself and get in trouble. Yeah. Checking up the points total. That makes about 53. It should be quite hard to beat that. However, this is academic, as I can be the only winner today by having Shona as my wife. Shona's lovely bridesmaids. You both looked absolutely stunning today. Given that Shona has not spent half the day crying, you've obviously done your job. I know Shona would want to thank you for the support you've given her in the time leading up today. I therefore ask you all to upstanding. A toast to the bridesmaids.